Hey everybody, welcome back to a Max Velocity weather forecast, and today what we're going over is that severe weather potential for later this afternoon into the evening hours across the Midwest and the northern plains. There's all modes of severe weather being possible, including damaging winds, large hail, and a tornado threat. We'll get to the latest on those, the timing and intensity of the storms. Let's hop right into it. So as of right now, there is a slight risk of severe weather across the Midwest. This does include Wisconsin, eastern Minnesota, eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, and western Michigan. The main threats in these areas will be damaging winds, large hail, and even a few tornadoes may be possible, especially in this area here. Let's go and take a look at that tornado threat here across the Midwest, and you can see that brown shaded region representing your highest tornado threat, which still is low, but it will include that potential for maybe a 2 to 3 tornado risk in those areas. There's also that green shaded region representing an isolated brief or weak tornado in those locations. Here's a look at the northern plains as well. There is a slight risk of severe weather back out into Montana, as well as southwestern North Dakota and western portions of South Dakota. The marginal risk also extends into northern Nebraska. Main threats over this way will be damaging winds, large hail, maybe an isolated tornado threat. Very low threat out that way. Here's a look at the timing in Wisconsin later this afternoon. You can start to see this is by lunchtime actually. Some showers and storms will move through the region. Most of these are not going to be really that severe. Going to the afternoon hours though, we'll start to see some storms developing back out to the west. This would primarily be back out in western portions of Wisconsin by about 5 to 6 o'clock. Those storms will be severe and they very likely could produce that damaging wind and large hail threat. And if there's enough shear, we could see a tornado or two out of these. These would be the cells that we're watching most carefully for that tornado threat. Near 7 to 8 o'clock, Madison and Jamesville will start to see the storms going toward Milwaukee by about 9 to 10 o'clock, and eventually going into Michigan, going into the later evening hours, into the overnight hours. You can see here's a look at the timing in Michigan. Might see a storm here near Chicago as early as 5 to 6 o'clock, possibly around 7 Eastern time. Eventually by 9 to 10 o'clock, storms moving through the Great Lakes. Eventually going into the overnight hours, we'll start to see those storms near Grand Rapids, and eventually heading into Michigan, which eventually they will primarily just turn into rain after about 6 to 7 in the morning tomorrow. Let's take a look at the timing back out in Montana for that severe weather event. Might see a few showers and storms this morning. For the most part, they will not be severe. We'll see more severe storms this afternoon. Most of these are going to be producing some large hail and damaging winds, very similar to yesterday. However, a tornado threat still will exist. It's a low threat overall. It was slightly higher yesterday. Here's a look at 9, 10 o'clock. You can start to see storms moving towards Miles City and eventually going to the overnight hours. Storms still ongoing, could still have some severe weather components with them just north of Miles City. Here's a look at the timing for North Dakota, 5, 6 o'clock. A couple of isolated discrete cells might develop. These would primarily just be producing large hail. Not a whole lot of shear in this region today. Going to the overnight hours, we'll start to see some more showers and storms, better coverage overall. These could produce some damaging winds and large hail. Very low end tornado threat if you're off to the southwestern portions of North Dakota, but otherwise not concerned about a tornado threat there. And eventually going to Tuesday, those storms move down to the south and east, posing our next severe weather event, which we'll get to in another forecast. Here's a look at the timing for South Dakota. Some storms during the afternoon and possibly some evening hour storms near Rapid City and west of Pierre. Eventually going to the overnight hours, we'll start to see those storms possibly by Tuesday morning coming out of North Dakota. We'll have more again on that pretty soon. Here's a look at the timing over in Nebraska, and this is again a couple of isolated storms near the northern portions of Nebraska. This will likely not be that severe, but again, maybe some large hail up to the size of ping pong balls, and then damaging winds up to 65 miles per hour possible with those storms, and then you'll clear out after midnight or even maybe earlier than that. A little brief look at tomorrow's severe weather event. You can see there is a slight risk of severe weather going all the way from Montana over into Pennsylvania. I mean, this is a huge risk that we're looking at tomorrow, so we'll keep you updated with the latest on that. Our next forecast will have a better breakdown on that. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Make sure to like the video. This forecast is brought to you by Platinum Contracting and All Dents Repair.